Again, we'll come back to the league games. So there are four football teams which are called Apes, Baboons, Chimps, and Gorillas. For the short form, we'll call them A, B, C, and G. Okay, and they play each other once in a season. Yeah, they all play each other once in a season. After some of the matches have been played, the table of the results with some entries missing looks like this. Now, the keyword is after some of the matches. This is not at the end of league. This is somewhere in the middle of the league. Yeah. The table looks like this, wherein some numbers are given and some are missing. Yeah. Now you need to complete the table explaining how each entry is worked out and find the score in each match played so far. Yeah. In each of the matches played so far, you have to find the score as well, and you have to fill in all the blanks. Are you okay with the meaning of the question before we move forward? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll replicate the information given into a table. So these are the four teams A, B, C, and G, and the number of four games played, number of games won, lost, drawn, and the goals for and goals against. Okay, now we'll just copy these are all the values which are given to us at the beginning. Okay, now with this, where is our starting point? Where will you choose? Where will you start? Now, before we do that, let's do some basic housekeeping. The number of games played, the sum of all these number of games played should be an even number. Yeah, this should be an even number. Do you all agree? Why? Can anyone explain why it should be even? Why it cannot be odd? Anyone explain why it should be even, not odd? Can anyone explain the sum of all the games played by the individual teams A, B, C, and D should always be even, not odd? Any explanation for that? Hmm? Well, the explanation is for every game played, there are two teams involved. So when a match is played, when a game is played, it is counted twice. Once from let's say, for example, if the game happens between A and B, that game will be counted twice, once from A's perspective and once from the B's perspective. So every game will be counted twice, and hence at any point of time in the league, the total of all the games played by all the four teams should always be even. Does it make sense? Are you all okay with that? Yeah, always should always be even. Okay, now also keep in mind that at any point of time in the league, the number of games won should be exactly equal to the number of games lost. Yeah, the total of all the victories of all the four teams should be exactly matching the total of all the games lost. And in fact, if you add up the wins, loses, and the draws, this sum should be equal to the total number of games played. Yeah, that's also important. Not only that, the number of goals scored for a team should be exactly equal to the sum of all the goals scored against the individual team. The sum of all the goals scored for the four teams should be exactly equal to the number of goals scored against team. Are you all okay with this basic conservation? This is the conservation. For each goal scored, there should be a team which scored for, and the team which for which against which the goal was scored. Okay. Now with this, where will you start? Any obvious choice wherein you will start to fill all the blanks? Anyone? By looking at the statistics, is there a clear starting point? Now we'll also make a statistics of all possible games. There are four teams, so there'll be six possible games. Yeah, we'll just keep it handy. Any starting point to start filling in the gaps? Anyone? This will involve a very close look at the table and the information available. Now, if you see the drawn column, Team G has drawn a game. Obviously, that draw would not have happened against A or B because A and B have got only zero draws, which means the game which G drew against must have been against C. Yeah, it should be the game between C and G which was drawn. Okay, so C and G would have drawn the game. Okay, next, Any other obvious choice for the next move? This is our starting point. Yeah, this is our starting point, the first step. Any other very obvious spelling? Anyone? Any obvious choice for the next move? Okay, now if you see the row for team A, it has not won a game, it has not drawn a game, but there were some goals scored for and against it, which means it must have played some games and all of them must have been lost. Do you all agree? There are some goals scored which must have come from a game, and that game should have been lost because it is not won. So the obvious choice, Team A could have played two games and lost both of them, or could have played three games or lost all three of them, or could have played one game and lost all of them. Now, here at this stage, we'll make the safest assumption and we'll see if that assumption fits into at the end. Okay, let's assume that Team A has played only one game, and that game, because it has not won or drawn, should have been lost. Should have been lost. Okay. So this is the second move. This is the third move. This is the first move. Okay. Now, Team A lost a game. Against which team it could have lost? Against it, which team could have? Now, by the way, because it lost, it played only one game and lost. That loss would have occurred against which team? Which team it would have come against? Could it be against B? Could it be against C or could it be against G? Yeah. Well, it could not have come against G because G has not won any game. Yeah. So it could have either A could have lost to either B or C. Yeah. But if you see the number of goals scored, the goals scored against B is just one in all. Whereas in the game that A played, it scored two. So this is not matching, yeah, which means that the game would not have taken place between A and B. It should have taken place between A and C. And the score in that was A lost two goals to three to C. Yeah. Yeah, so which means the game was played against C. So C won the game. C won the game against A with the fourth move, and the score was 2-3. Okay. Now, by the way, because C has played two games, won one, and drawn one, the number of games lost would have been zero. So that's the next move. Okay, that's the fifth step. Also, if we do a tally on the goal scored, yeah, let's look at the goal scored. Now, the goal scored for C is 2, yeah, out of which 3 were scored against A, yeah, which means uh, when the C played the draw game against G, that would have drawn at 1 versus 1, isn't it? Yeah, I'll repeat. Uh, in all, C has played two games and scored 4 goals, out of which 3 goals were scored against A, which means the only remaining goal should have come against G when it drew the game. So the drawn game should have been between C and G with a score of 1 and 1. Okay, so that also gives us, now any doubts at this stage? Are you all okay so far? Are you all okay so far?
No, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
there was a no as well. So let me know where exactly do you want me to take back? Where exactly you started diverging? Do you want me to? I'll take a few steps back. Are you okay? Tell me at what stage you started
Yes, sorry, sir. I'm fine. Yes, sorry, sir. I'm fine.
Okay. Any no's? Because I had a faint no. Anyone who's not sure so far? Okay, that's fine. So you got till here. Yeah. So far, in a step-by-step fashion, we filled in all these 5 blocks. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Now, if you look at the team B, obviously it must have played a game and against, because there is a game, there's a goal against it, which means it must have played at least one game. Yeah. Now, and that again was not drawn, either it was won or it was lost. Okay, so we'll assume that team B has played one game. Yeah. Now, whether it has won or lost, that's something which remains. Okay. Now, if you look at it, yeah, if you look at that, because B has played one game, and so far, all the games that C played has been accounted for. One was drawn against G, and one was won against A. Yeah. So C has already we have accounted for all the games played by C. Also, the A has only played one game, and that has been accounted for A and C, which means the game which B played must have been against G. Yeah, must have been against G. Yeah, and not just that. If you see, against G, there were 5 goals scored, out of which one was scored in the draw game. Yeah, which means the remaining 4 games should have come in the game played by B against it. Yeah, so B should have scored remaining 4 goals. Yeah, and again, so the score line between B and G should have been 4-1. 4 scored by B and one scored by G against B. Okay, so which means the score line was 4-1 for B between B and G. So this is our seventh step. Now that also means that B has won the game. Yeah, B has won the game. It has won the only game that it played, which means the number of games lost would be 0. And G has lost that game. Whatever B won has been lost by G. So this is G has lost one game as well. Yeah, we'll put a 1 year as well. And then we have very few blanks left, which are very easy to fill in. Yeah, now we can actually move forward. We can shift the gears. Now, if you see, if you look at the number of goals scored for B, goal scored for G, it is one here and one here, one here, one here. So in all, 2 goals were scored by G. Yeah, this is 1+1. Yeah. Now it means if you now you have to just fill in the gaps. Yeah, one game played, one lost, 0 drawn, which means the number of games lost should also be 0. That is also 0. And for G, it has won 0 games, lost one game, and drawn one game, which means the number of games played should have been 2. Okay. Now, how will you fill in this one? How will you fill in this one? Any ideas? Any suggestions? How do you fill the last remaining gap in it? Anyone? No? Okay, remember I mentioned that the sum of all the goals scored for should be exactly matching the sum of all the goals scored against. Because every game must have been scored for a team and against a team. So every goal scored should have been counted in this column as well as that column. Now, if we add up all this, the goals scored for, yeah, this is 2 plus 4, which is 10, and this is 12. So the 12 total should also be matching the goal scored for 12 should also be matching the goals scored against as a 12. So out of 12, 5, 1, and 3, which adds to 9 is already there, which means this one missing then has to be 3. Okay, and that completes the table, and that also gives you the score line against individual matches.